Impact. Impact through innovation in agri-food. That's the reason we are all here today. And you're at the right place, because today we have more than 14 agri-food startups that are going to be on stage. You will discover new ways to grow lettuces. You will discover new ways to decontaminate food products, like baby food. You will discover new ways to grow wood to prevent deforestation. And you will discover many more technologies. So, yes, if you are here for impact, you are at the right place here on the Wageningen campus. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Jean Boudillon. I'm the program manager at StartLife, and I'm really excited to have you all. We had more than 300 sign-ups today, about a third online. So big welcome to you in person. Big welcome to you as well in the live stream. And we are really excited to have you all. So please give yourself a warm applause. So as I said, I'm the program manager of Accelerate. That's the cohort-based program, acceleration program that we have for the startups. And the startups and the StartLife team, we have been working really hard for the past 6 months to help the startup accelerate. And as I often say to the startup, it's not enough to have a great technology. You also need to be solving a problem to someone. You need to have customers. So that's what we've been working on for the past 6 months, validating their value proposition, validating the market, and making sure that they do have a business model behind the technology. Still, it's not enough to validate your market. We still need you. The entrepreneurs need you, the audience, the community, to have an impact. So if there is any way you can make an introduction, a connection for the entrepreneurs, please do it, and they are here you are here to help them. Of course, we wouldn't be here today without the funding partners of StartLife, so I want to say a big thank you to Wageningen University and Research, Food Valley NL, our neighbors in the building, and of course, the Regional Agency of Development, OostNL. I'm really happy to announce today that the Startup Fund Gelderland is open again. We've already supported more than 13 startups in the past years for a total amount of 6 million euro. And the province of Gelderland has allocated again 3 million euro to support the startups in Gelderland. If you have any question on that, please raise your hand not raise your hand, but please reach out to Suraj, he can help you with that. And for those of you who don't know Startup Fund Gelderland, it's a subordinated loan with startup founder-friendly terms. Today, StartLife, it's more than 30 corporate and investor partners. And if you count the program partners, it's more than 45 partners. And with them, we work really hard all year round to scout the best startup, to introduce the best technology and the best innovation. So they're also here to have an impact. Maybe if you are a partner of StartLife, you can raise your hand so we can see who you are, and maybe you can reach out. The corporate partners, investor partners, the program partners. So thanks a lot for your help. You give them an applause. And now it has become kind of a tradition during this demo day to announce the new partners. So I'm really happy to welcome 2 new partners. The first one, you probably all know them. They manufacture chocolate and food products. It's the Hershey company, maybe the representative. Thanks a lot for joining StartLife and welcome to you. We also have another new partner, program partner this time. It's Axon Lawyers, based in Amsterdam, and they are going to help the startup with everything related to regulation. And we all know that there's a lot of regulation in our space in agri-food. So thank you, Karin, maybe you can raise your hand. And welcome to StartLife as well. But today, I'm not alone on stage. I want to welcome one of our startup analysts. She's also in charge of our food corporate partners. Welcome, Jolina Tink. Oh, I forgot to.
Thank you, Jean, for the warm welcome. Thank you also for the in-person and the online audience for joining us today. Today, as Jean said, we will be joined by more pitches than ever before. 13 startups of the 12th Accelerate cohort. Let that land for a second. I mean, that's amazing to me. When I started out here, I could never imagine having so many people at the same time. But to switch it up, we have incorporated not one, but two panels this time around. First, we will welcome to the stage Shako with our ad interim managing director, Laura Thiesse, as well as our new managing director, Bert-Jan Woerdman, to talk about the past, present, and future of StartLife. And later on today, I will also be doing something similar. I mean, it's a tradition for sure. The alumni update today with Revive. But first, those pitches. Jean already said they have been working super hard, all of them, on their product market fit and on their investor readiness. So how does an investor look at this? And to continue their growth, they need you to reach out and to connect. So throughout the presentation, I've sprinkled this QR code. So if you are in the online audience right now, you will have noticed that I didn't say anything about questions yet. Please scan the QR code, also here in person. Should you want to ask a question but not get around to it during today, the contact details of the startups will be present there. Should you want to see a pitch deck, it will be present there as well. So about those questions. If you are here with us in the in-person audience, you get to ask questions at the end of every session. So please, if you have one at the end of the session, raise your hand, we will get a catch box to you. Then you stand up, talk into the catch box so that we can all hear you loud and clear, and I don't need to translate your question. And then we can get that answered. But again, should your neighbor steal the show, contact through the QR code. If they are too fast, you can still ask your questions. You can even ask your questions in person later on at the drinks. QR code, doc send, online, scan the code. Yeah, got everything. Jean.
Yes.
Started.
Yeah, so we have 3 rounds of startups, so let's get started with the first one. And the first startup is from Denmark, helping farmers and growers be more independent with their fertilizer. Please welcome on stage Susan Andersen, co-founder and CEO of Nitrovolt.
Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Suzanne, and I am the CEO of Nitrovolt. We make ammonia, which is the keystone to modern human society. Why? Well, without ammonia production today, out of the 200 people here, half of us, 100 people, would not be alive. And that's because ammonia supports 40 to 50% of the entire agricultural sector. It's used as a nitrogen-based fertilizer to grow our food. Unfortunately, the leading countries exporting nitrogen fertilizer today are countries like Russia, Morocco, China, which we've seen in the past has led to some geopolitical frictions and supply chain dependencies, both with the pandemic and then the Ukraine war, where prices skyrocketed. Farmers suddenly had to pay 4 times what they used to pay for nitrogen fertilizer, meaning they couldn't afford it, leading to food shortages. Now, ammonia is an incredibly versatile chemical. It's actually the second most produced chemical in the world. It's primarily used as a nitrogen fertilizer, but also in fermentation industry, in textile, beauty products, pharmaceuticals, refrigeration, you name it, ammonia is there. It's a very important chemical for our modern society. But the way we produce it is in these huge centralized facilities that require fossil fuels as the input, and that means it emits a lot of CO2. So ammonia production today emits 0.5 gigaton of CO2 every year. That is equivalent to the entire aviation industry, just to produce this one chemical. So the production has a problem, it emits CO2, and it's central, so that leads to supply chain dependencies. These are 2 very big problems, and we at Nitrovolt have the solution to this. We found a completely novel way to produce ammonia using just air, water, and electricity, so we can do it small scale, room temperature process, low pressure, in a container-sized system that can produce green ammonia on site at the farm where it's needed. This is an easy-to-use system. It is a competitive price compared to the gray ammonia that the farmers buy today as a nitrogen-based fertilizer. Now, I'm here today not to ask for money, but to make network connections. If you use ammonia, if you know anyone who uses ammonia, if you are interested in talking to us, please reach out. We love talking about ammonia. Thank you so much.
Yes. So the lovely team came through. Anyway, does anybody in the audience want to kick us off? Oh, everybody is shy today. There is a question here, all the way at the front. No, wait a second, sir. And can you please stand up and talk into the catch box? Thank you so much.
I saw water, air, and electricity. Where does the N come from, the nitrogen?
Air. So there's
From
actually 80% nitrogen in air.
NO2.
Yes, N2, yes.
Thank you so much, Susanne. That's all the time we have right now.
Please
We're
reach
really
out.
quick today. Please reach out to Susanne through the QR code and also see if you can help her out with connections at the drinks, maybe?
Yes.
And otherwise the QR code. Who's next?
Yes. Our next startup. Yeah, please. I mentioned our next startup during my introduction. It's a startup that finds a new way to decontaminate food products. Let's welcome Tal Malka Salouf from Bob Food Tech.
I want to ask you, how many toxins have you consumed today? You probably not realize it, but most of the food we eat has residuals of toxins from fertilizers, from the treated water, from chemicals. There's a rising awareness of regulators toward this subject, and they strengthen their regulations in order that companies who produce food and beverages will supply safer food. Current solutions for toxin removal fail due to a lack of cost-effective technology that selectively will remove the molecules, ending in an excessive processing for refiltering or the use of heavy chemicals, leading to the degradation of our nutritional value. And this market is massive. It applies to all industries, from juice to supplements to cellular agriculture. We decided to focus our initial efforts in the plant-based baby food due to the sensitivity to regulators and parents. The current market is valuated at 17 billion and continues to grow due to the increase of baby lactose intolerance and consumer awareness. European regulations permits very low amounts of chlorates in the plant-based infant formula, and currently there is no company that succeeded to degrading it to the allowed level. And this is a big potential for anybody who will use our technology. At Bob Food Tech, we developed a novel technology, RNA patent-based technology, that allows the extraction of small molecules. In this procedure, liquids will flow through our columns and get back to the processing line without the small toxic molecules. And we already have our first proof of concept and raised interest from many companies, from the GAG Group, Citrasuco, and more. In our team, Dr. Dor Zaguri, who completed his PhD, the inventor of the tech, Professor Gazit from Tel Aviv University, and I have C-level experience in sales and marketing in the last 20 years in the food industry. We are now raising a seed investment to reach sales by the end of 2026. Use the power of small molecules with Bob Food Tech, taking big problems to valuable solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tal, as well, for sharing your new innovation for the baby food industry.
Yeah.
Maybe there's somebody from the baby food industry here. Maybe some of you has, who kicks us off with our one question? Oh, so shy, such a shy audience. Well, then I will take center stage. So then you made quite a pivot from when we first met. You already allured to it a little bit. Can you just briefly talk us through that
Yeah,
for
so-
people that may have seen Bob Food Tech before.
So when we started in StartLife cohort, we were having a product towards the cultivated meat space. We take out lactate and ammonia that are toxins that grow with the cell growth in the cultivated media that is very expensive, and we found a solution to recycle it. But the go-to-market for this industry is still far ahead, and we understand that in order to be a working startup, we need to find industries that are having production lines in the space, and we can solve their solution. So through StartLife, we reach out to many companies, and they told us their problems, and we figured out a way to solve it with our new technology.
Wonderful. That's the power of network.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tal, and we'll be sure to see you back soon. Sean, where do we go next?
Yes. Our next startup is from Switzerland, and we have an exciting technology to grow lettuces, and I think you will see it in the video. And let's welcome Henri de Lalande from Tecponics.
Hi, well, I'm Henri Lalande. I'm one of the 3 co-founders of Tecponics, and I'm here to talk to you about the way that we are going to influence the future of the production of lettuce. So first thing first, actually the reason why we're all here is because of the guy on the left, Benoit, who spent the past 15 years of his life actually designing automated StartLife systems for growing lettuce, and he grew like really increasingly frustrated that he could not address the mass market. And so the mass market for growing lettuce is actually open fields, and it's becoming really increasingly harder year by year to produce in open field lettuce. Why is that? Mostly because of climate change, and climate change is really a rising issue that is not going to solve itself for the growers. Climate change for lettuce growers means basically that they will have decrease in yield, they have shorter production periods, and they have increased risk of losing their complete harvest. On top of that, there are more and more chemicals that are being banned, and they have labor issues. And so, well, I'm here in the Netherlands, and people understand that. The solution is actually to grow undercover, it's to grow StartLife, and it's to automate the production. And that is exactly what we're doing at Tecponics. We have designed a system that allows to completely automate the production of lettuce over a pond of nutrient solution using what we call dynamic spacing. And this allows us to actually automate the full cycle from the seedling down to the harvesting. And when doing that, you actually optimize your yields and you will optimize your labor costs. We have had that system run by an independent team, not us, for the past 18 months. And we have a strong pipeline of both open field growers and players of the hydroponic industry that are testing that are discussing with us to buy the system at the moment. We do this, we actually are quite differentiated because we have the cheaper capex for this kind of system. We can install in any greenhouse, any configuration like tunnel, like, I don't know, poly greenhouse or high-tech greenhouse. This is very differentiated. And we allow for the full control of the system. We tap a $10 billion opportunity to transition the open field, and we want growers to come to us, and obviously we're looking for investment.
Great. Thank you so much. Come a little closer, otherwise we might be out of frame. So who here in the audience has a question? Right there.
Hey, hi. How does it compare in terms of greenhouse gases footprint compared with the traditional way of producing? Because greenhouses have a bit of a tendency of being quite high on greenhouse gases.
So to compare to already existing greenhouse systems or open field?
Comparing your system to the open field.
Oh, so the yield is 10 times higher. The cost of growing lettuce is pretty much the same. Yeah, that's mostly the way that it compares. So that's why it's nutritious for growers, because we have most of the open field is grown in the south of Europe, and the growers are looking at the solutions that they have because they really have, they're struggling with the issues at the moment. And that's why they're interested to install what is for them small scale units. For us, it's already a good business, which is what we're doing at the moment.
Yeah, I was asking about the carbon footprint. So to make 1 kilo in open fields as opposed to 1 kilo in your system?
So the yield is 10 times higher, if that's the question.
And that also means that then the carbon footprint is lower? I think that was the question.
Oh, okay, the carbon footprint. well, we use far less water, that's for sure.
Because greenhouses have a tendency of having very high...
Once again, you can adapt it to any climate. So it is the choice of the growers to whether they want to use heating, whether they want to use artificial lighting or not.
Sounds like you have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that's true.
Wonderful. Please connect. And if you haven't had the chance to ask your questions yet, please scan that QR code. If you need to leave early, scan the QR code and see everything. So please connect over the drinks later on and get the discussion going. Sean, I think we are heading to your favorite place, or close to your favorite place in the world, the mountains, right?
Oh, yes, yes. Well, our next startup is from Switzerland still. They produce scaffolding for cultivated meat. So please welcome Anna Bunter from Salea.
Second, do we have a sound? Can you hear me? Nope, not yet. Uh-oh. Tech issues.
I think, yeah. Maybe you can use the catch box.
Hello?
Yeah.
Ah. There we go. Ooh, this is loud. Thank you.
No worries.
So back to square one. Imagine we could eat meat and fish without harming the planet nor a single animal. Salea is working on that. We are about to change the future of meat and fish production forever. Why? Well, I think most of us, especially you guys attending an event like this one, we are painfully aware of the negative impact livestock farming has on our planet. Also, we're getting to the realization that plant-based products, despite years of innovation and research, likely will not substitute meat. The good news is, cellular agriculture could substitute livestock farming, because it allows us to not just mimic meat, but to recreate meat, to actually grow meat outside of a living animal. The problem is, the industry is missing a technical component without which the output is limited to low-margin products like sausages and chicken nuggets. This is why we founded Salea. We are providing that missing technical component to cultivating companies. It's called a scaffold. The scaffold allows our customers to grow premium products like a steak or a fillet. That also means they can charge at least 3 times higher prices and target a 4 times larger market. With Salea, we are the only ones to be at the market with such a superior type of scaffold, and our mission is to set the industry standard for scaffolding within the cellular agriculture. Who are we? If I'm speaking of we, we're 3 female co-founders combining the best from business and science. My 2 co-founders are trained material scientists from ETH Zurich, and Nicole developed our tech during her PhD. Simona supported her. I myself am the business person. I studied finance and business in St. Gallen, and then worked the past 3 years at McKinsey. Where do we stand? I'm proud to share that we started to ship first samples to cultivating companies. We secured over 1.5 million non-dilutive funding in the past and are right now closing our pre-seed round. It's going to be around 2 million. And we are now ready or looking for industry partners to start co-developing cultivated products. Exactly.
Yeah.
Happy to take a question. Yes,
So maybe that next customer is here in the audience today.
yes.
Who has a question for Anna? Well, yes. Wait a second, the catch box is coming your way, so please stand up and talk into the catch box.
So when talking about a scaffold, I assume that it will be an integral part of the
Yes.
final product, right?
Exactly, very good question. The scaffold forms part of the end product, so you will consume the scaffold together with the cultivated cells. And therefore, it's very important that we can customize the formulation of the scaffold. Let's say you're cultivating salmon, someone else is cultivating beef, it has to taste, feel, and look very different, which we have a patent on, luckily. And we can
And will you be able, once the product goes to market, to identify the scaffold still as such, or will it be kind of degraded?
In the beginning, I expect you will still see it. Of course, the goal is that you won't. In the beginning, also the ratio of scaffold to cells will be a lot of scaffold and not that much cells, because cells are also very expensive. But then in the future, the goal is that the scaffold will kind of form part of the cells, so that the cells can feed on the scaffold and it dissolves within the piece of meat or fish.
And you're still working on that, I assume.
We're still working on that. We're now a team of 6 people, and with the pre-seed round can grow up to 10 or 12 people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. Sean,
Yes.
I think we are heading a little closer to home next.
Yes, from Switzerland to the Netherlands. And the next startup is Protopia, and I really like their slogan. It's protein without the footprint. Let's welcome on stage Henk Noorman, the co-founder of Protopia.
Yes, it works. Protopia. Our mission is to produce affordable protein at scale without footprints and with speed. And here the problem, we know there is a protein gap. We fall short of millions of tons, and there is an innovation boom in alternative proteins. But there is one thing that makes, let's say, a common judgment. This is very poorly scalable, so there is no solution at scale yet. And there we step in with Protopia. We produce a product called Smart Protein in a way that is scalable and it is robust. It can fit in different installations worldwide, based on, say, a couple of inventions that we made. At the front end, you see strains, microbes that are robust, flexibility in feedstock. In the middle, you see intensified process, liquid fermentation, something that scales well. And in the end, we have then protein without footprints. And you see all these ideas have been collected into a whole series of patents at the front end, at the back end, and in the middle. And we are proud to be out of the lab and delivering already functionality. We produced a few hundred kilos, and now we are already working on a further scale up with a few metric tons to be ready at the end of the year. And we have done tests. Our prototype material, we tested in burgers, replacing pea protein, and it resulted in higher juiciness. We did dogs and cats trials, pet food, where we found a much higher preference than with alternatives. And also, we could replace all of the fish meal and soy protein in aqua feed. So we are targeting various markets that add up in total to a current value of 17 billion. And we have here 4 success factors that we feel are critical to the avenue we are working on. And we were 3 founders, altogether adding up to 100 years of experience, team experience. We know what to do because we learned the hard way what does not work. So here we have something that will channel into scalability. We have a viable business case and offtake agreements already with partners and bridging towards the future. And we are here to get about 10 million. That's what our purpose is. And the 3 founders are ready to take any initiatives from your side.
Thank you so much, Henk. So I bet that there is somebody in the audience that is interested in testing out your product. But first, I see a question all the way in the back. So please stand up and talk into the catch box.
Thanks. You said no footprint, but what about your feedstock? I mean, the carbon, the nitrogen, it has to come from somewhere.
Yeah, the dominant factor is feedstock, so nitrogen source is minor, although in the end it also contributes, and we target lower than 1 kilo per kilo, which sets us, say, for the product, sets us, say, in a positive way from our competitors, who have usually a range between 2 and 6. So the carbon source should have low carbon, so come from CO2. CO2 renewable energy, that's our preferred source, can come from the energy or the chemical sector, like small molecules, methanol, ethanol, formic acid, even glycerol. We are flexible on that end with low footprint inputs, and we create low footprint output.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Henk. And well, if you are one of those people that wants to try out your wonderful product in your wonderful product, please connect via the QR code, via the DocSend, or at the drinks later today.
All right.
Dear audience, have you all gotten comfortable with this concept of me going off stage and handing it over every single time? Yeah, I think so too. It's time to shake it up. Come on. So we're shaking it up with our first panel. I had already announced it, so I would love to say very much a thank you also to Laura for being here after sharing StartLife with us for 5 years already, so very much experience in this space. Welcoming Bert-Jan from the Eindhoven High-Tech Excel campus ecosystem to this new space, and under the wonderful guidance of Jaco van Kol, they will just talk you through past, present, and future of StartLife. Ja, daarachter.
I can take it.
Oh, I can grab it. All good. Look, it's working.
Ooh.
Test, test, test. Is it?
Yeah. Yep.
Good. Great. It's my pleasure to lead this session together with two persons that actually created very valuable systems in two different places. Jorien already mentioned, one in Eindhoven and the other here in Wageningen. I think one of them at least needs an introduction a bit more himself. So Bert-Jan, how would you describe yourself?
How I would describe myself? Can you hear me?
To catch
no,
box.
I can talk. Oh.
It's my thing.
Lubo, the catch box. Okay, yeah, give it. We need it. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, I will catch it. So, how I would describe myself, yeah, that's depending on weather and season, but, and you just said in a few words, so basically I would say I'm an enthusiast, passionate, innovation, ecosystem builder. And then that last word is in one word, best describing me. Yeah, enough?
Yeah. So yeah, there are very, very good skills that we need here as well. And Laura, you've been here now for the last 5 years, working closely with corporates, investors, startups, and the university. How have you seen this ecosystem grow?
Thank you, Jaco. Does this one work as well now?
No.
So if I were to summarize kind of in one word how I saw this ecosystem grow, I would probably choose unrecognizably. And I think one of the most tangible ways in which you can see that is by looking around, right? I mean, this building wasn't here 5 years ago, and people often don't realize that, you know, we're on this 1 square kilometer here where 200 organizations, corporates, knowledge institutes, startups, skill-ups are working together towards innovations in R&D in food, ag, and environment. And if I look closer to StartLife, and actually this week it's exactly 5 years ago that I joined StartLife, so I've really seen it developing and growing. When I look at StartLife, I remember, you know, like 5 years ago, 2019, we had no idea COVID was going to hit us in a couple of months. Is it? Yeah? Yeah. So I remember the excitement in our small team when one of the startups, and we just launched a couple of startup programs, when one of the startups landed their first investment, and that was Fumi, better known to most of you nowadays as Revive, and we'll have Edgar on stage a little bit later. So we were all excited because, you know, a startup getting in 250, 500K, you know, that was really something, right? Something special. And even though, you know, we've seen this, right? I mean, we've seen the funding landscape going up and down and hopefully now up again. But now in this time, we really see that even this past week, we saw our startups that we've been supporting 2-3 years ago, we saw them getting in fantastic Series A, like last week, Solasta Bio, the bioinsecticides company from Glasgow. And last night I read about Enzymit, who also landed their Series A, a company from Israel that we supported 3 years ago. So I think, you know, what fueled that growth in the ecosystem and in the startup ecosystem is really the acknowledgement from players, corporates and startups and scale-ups that, you know, no startup can grow in isolation in the food sector. So we really have to work together. And we've been finding out what works, what doesn't work. You know, one-on-ones may not be the best way to work together. We really need to build value chains here, and I think that's an acknowledgement that's widely spread now in the food startup ecosystem, and we've only just started.
And building this up, what was one of the biggest...
The mic.
On the mic.
So building this up, what was one of the biggest challenges you faced?
Well, I mean, the way you phrase it, it sounds a little bit like we're done, right? We're not done. We're just getting started. This is really only at the beginning. So what I think is a challenge that we're facing now is really that, you know, we got to think big, right? So we're facing a massive climate and biodiversity crisis, and the next kind of couple of decades are going to kind of show us if we can reverse it to some extent or not. So a big challenge is that we're not thinking big enough, I think. So, you know, alternative financing instruments are needed in both food and ag to get us to the next level. So, you know, farmers need land investors, right, that buy their land, that lease it back on favorable terms, long term, to be able for them to make this transition, right, to more sustainable farming. And I think the same goes for food, where, you know, novel food ingredients, putting those on the market, you know, building your first of a kind factory, you know, alternative financing instruments are needed to get that going, and to, you know, bank guarantees, soft loans, to really make that happen and to really make sure that we don't stand still where we are right now.
Yeah. And was there also something that slowed down the impact that we want to make with the startups?
Well, slowing down, I mean, we're in a transition, right? And a transition is not linear, right? Transition, it goes like this. So I really think that we've seen ups and downs, and corporates have seen ups and downs. You know, we've seen even in you know, we've seen in the plant-based meat market, for instance, you know, in the US, that demand is lagging quite a bit. If you compare plant-based meat to plant-based dairy. So, you know, what you see is that some things you cannot predict, right? We're in a transition. So things go up and then they go down, then they go up. So, you know, this is just a give and take. And think about that, you know, also the current supply chains in food, you know, needed decades to be optimized. So we're only really at the beginning of that.
And Bejan, now you're here for the last 4 months. I mean, you took your vacation like everyone. A reflection moment, right? How has it been so far?
I need also this one. Yeah, it's good to hear that we're at the beginning and not at the end, so that I not came to close shop. I came here to build further, based on a foundation laid by Laura team, people from corporate, from the Valuation Center of the University, StartHub, Food Valley. So it's amazing. So we only just begun. That's what I learned from you. So that's good. Reflecting on my first 4 months, yeah, what struck me was the passion of all people that I met here in this ecosystem, from professors, business developers, students, and startups. I can also do it without. I can speak up. Oh, no, this one? No. Okay, I use this one. So the people and the passion for innovation, to really have an impact together, collaborating in value chains, that's one. Second, the campus. So I've been working in Eindhoven on the high-tech campus. Some of you might know that one, but I love this campus maybe even better. Don't tell two people from Eindhoven. Anybody here from Eindhoven? Okay, don't tell them. I love both campuses. Okay. But, this is a unique mix that we have here. So we have research institutes, you have talented young people, professors, PhDs, and then there is this mix of companies, SMEs, multinationals, and I think that's internationally, this is well known, seeing all the delegations that call us for a guided tour. But I think it's lesser known, it's some kind of a hidden gem for the Dutch people and even Dutch government maybe, I don't know, I'm looking at Sebastian, he's nodding, so that's another thing. And then combine the people and the campus and the network here today and also the networks of Food Valley. I think there's huge potential, and you said we've only just begun. And let's do even more together with the network and the people here at the campus. So loving it so far.
Nice. That's what we want to hear, right? And Bert-Jan, we had previously a talk because I wanted to know like what differentiates successful innovations from the West. And then you mentioned something about social innovation. And I think it's good to highlight that part. What is social innovation?
Yeah, that's not something that I thought of myself. It's actually Henk Volbera, Professor Henk Volbera, Erasmus University now in Amsterdam, who coined this, social innovation. He did research. He got an assignment from the Ministry of Economic Affairs to study successful innovations. And he said, after studying successful innovations in high tech, that only 23% of the success of innovation has to do with the tech innovation, the tech idea. The rest has to do with social innovation, the social dynamics that you're able to generate within your company and connect that to the social dynamics around you in the broader ecosystem. Basically, we're not competing as a company, you're competing as part of an ecosystem, so you need to be connected, and I think this place, StartLife, what I've learned also from you guys, we're happy also for you to connect the dots globally. So social innovation, I think, is the way to success for startups. So be connected, and yeah, that makes you yourself as a startup, you're only small, a lot smarter.
Yeah. But also, how can we then foster more of these elements of social innovation?
How can you foster the elements of social innovation? It's typically something that we all intuitively understand, that people make the difference. We all understand, and we say yes, but to organize for that, that's difficult, and you need events like these, you need places like these in the middle of this hotspot, connecting the dots physically. Also, the way we've built trust together in this ecosystem makes a difference. I know you, you know somebody else, and you introduce me, and then there's trust, making the connection easier, more efficient, smoother, and that all adds together and makes a difference for startups as well as corporates and also university, of course.
Okay. And then how is the future going to look like, Bert-Jan?
We've only just begun, so thank you. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the future will look like, but building on what Laura said, I think we will go, and also talking to a lot of people here today, but also in the past weeks. Kraft Heinz also here, I think. I saw them today, and Dan from Yield Lab. Okay, they're not raising their hands, but anyway. So they were saying, well, okay, looking forward, I think we can make a difference together even more by working closer together in value chains, basically going from collaborating together to innovating together in value chains. And today, earlier, I had a session together with Bernadette. Bernadette, where are you? We did a session with the partners asking where they see future challenges. And I think around those challenges, we could organize ourselves together even better. So I would start looking forward a bit by extending the invitation that we have now. And so now we invite startups to join our Accelerate program and our a la carte program. You can join us as a mentor, you can join us as a corporate partner, investor partner. But I would like to explore the possibility to build ventures together. So I would invite also corporates, but also the university to join with unique IP. Together then find co-founders in the networks that we have and then build companies standing on the shoulders of the amazing network present here today. So extend the invitation. Is that okay?
It's like IPs.
Yeah.
Good. The future looks promising, Bert-Jan. And I think, Laura, is there something that we didn't talk about here, but you would like to share still with the audience? Oh, you don't need it.
Oh yeah, I don't need it. Okay, can you hold it? Well, I just want to, since you gave me the opportunity, Shako, I just wanted to kind of rephrase what one of the founders in the audience in this cohort, or in the last cohort, told me during one of the lunch breaks. He was like, sometimes when you're a founder, it feels like you're swimming upstream in a river, while a lot of your peers and the people that you know from colleagues and ex-colleagues and so on, they just kind of swim or floating next to you downstream on air mattresses, right? So that kind of gave me an idea of the toughness, right? And we've seen fantastic founders in this ecosystem, and personally, I've always felt extremely privileged to be working with such energized people who try to make this world a little bit better.
So are you going to miss this?
Yeah, of course. Now I can't say no, of course, but I'm also very confident that that this is definitely not a goodbye, and I will remain active in this ecosystem.
Very nice. I see the time we came to a closing, and I would like, it's maybe the time for an applause for Laura, what she built up for the last 5 years, right? And this is also the time for the board.
Yeah, let's see if this one works. If it's not working, then I get this one. So indeed, thanks, Jaco. As member or chair of the board, Sebastian Behrens, Director of Value Creation at Weur, we're really glad to have seen this tremendous sort of growth of StartLife, both as an international accelerator, having many European as well as wider away startups coming into the Netherlands, being connected to this esteemed ecosystem. But that takes people to build it. And as a board, we would like to say a very big thanks to you, Laura, because you've been a driving force and an energetic person, particularly in building the partnerships with the corporates as well as the investors, and challenging them as well. Not just to become a partner, not just to be connected to startups and help these startups, but also to set their own boundaries slightly further. So also to see how, for example, indeed funding can be more long-term or can look into first-time type of plans. And that is something of a big legacy that you leave us behind with. It's a good foundation for the upcoming 10 or 15 years. We've only started 14 years ago with StartLife. It takes over 20 years to build a startup ecosystem. So we're doing well. And now it's up to Bert-Jan to really propel that rocket. So that's why we chose to get high-tech engineering and high-tech networks also into StartLife. So once again, a very big thanks for 5 years of diligent work, and really well done, Laura. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Keen to see you along in the ecosystem, because we need people like you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Laura, again for the past 5 years. It was really nice to have you. And Bert-Jan, we're really excited to have you. And Shako, where's Shako? Shako, thank you for the moderation. For those of you who don't know Shako, he's hosting a podcast inviting food leaders to discuss how to make food the solution and not the problem anymore. So please, if you want to scan the QR code, you will find the podcast of Shako. But round two, let's get started again with the startup. This time we have a startup from the Netherlands. It's called Carapace. They have a great solution to reduce microplastic in the soil. Let's welcome Marushka on stage. It's not working. Yeah. Okay, yeah, give the...
Good? No? Okay.
All right, this is better. Let me get it set up. So let's start it over again. My name is Marushka Blijtek, and I'm the CEO of Carapace Biopolymers. So I'm incredibly excited to share our story with you today, but I'd like to start by painting a less rosy picture. And that is that in agriculture, we are currently addicted to the use of single-use plastics. In our soils, currently we are building up microplastic pollution, and adding to this is, amongst other, seed coatings, in which we put 13,000 tons in our soils and food chains every year. Luckily, the EU is catching on, and as of 2028, there will be a full ban on using microplastic generating coatings on seeds. However, this is creating an additional problem, and that is we like using seed coatings. They actually are very useful. We can use them for adding boosters, we can use them for additional storage, but also, as you can see on the picture, by incorporating pretty colors to it, which help us identify certain types of seeds. So that is why at Carapace we developed a portfolio of fully biodegradable seed coatings, which is a platform technology that's currently in the process of being patented. On top of that, our solution is also fully bio-based, making it fully in line with the microplastic ban from the European Union. Adding to it, our coatings also ensure better germination and vigor, and we are in line with active ingredients already existing in the industry, but we're also working at the forefront of innovation by incorporating biostimulants. So we are ready for the transition, and we want to scale fast. So I'm here today to ask you, we are looking for seed producers who are interested in making co-creations. So please feel free to reach out. We have a booth. And then please, let's help us to make the right choice. Thank you very much.
So Marushka, I think you get the honor of hopefully throwing that box to somebody. Who has a question for Marushka?
Or potentially injuring and getting my first lawsuit.
That's a risk. It's soft enough. Don't worry.
All right. Anyone I can throw it to?
Well, I don't hope you throw it to me. But
I feel I intimidated people by the throwing aspect.
Then maybe softly bump me, and then I will ask the question. So Marushka, which application or seed are we going to find your first actual application in?
Well, very good question, and I understand the question. I cannot divulge that because we're currently discussing a commercial feasibility study. But to make you understand our approach to this market, the seed market is very broad in terms of pricing. So we are currently aiming the higher priced seeds, which for us is the best way to scale up. And then when we reach scale, then also our costs will drop and we can approach other markets.
So that will be the bombshell that we get to share maybe on the next Accelerate demo day.
That is indeed our projected plan. So
great.
Thank you for the great question.
Thank you so much. Our time, unfortunately, is already up.
Shall I give this just to be sure?
Yeah, let's just keep it here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Marushka. Thanks. So we were in the soil. Let's go to the microbial world now with Paul Rutten, the CEO of Concept Bio. Hi, at the box.
So at Concept Bio, we enable growers to harness the potential of the plant microbiome for their crops. Between now and 2050, it's estimated that we're going to lose something like 25% of agricultural output in the world because of climate change, in a world where we already use far too much land and far too much water just to keep up with current demand in a population that is continuing to grow. One of the best solutions that's come about to keep growing in a world where climate is making it harder and harder to grow as we have been are greenhouses, particularly high-tech hydroponic greenhouses. The advantage of these systems is that you get 10 or more times the yield per unit area that you get from traditional agriculture. You use a fraction of the water that you normally use because it doesn't drain away into the soil. You can recirculate it. It's very, very climate resilient. You're growing indoors, so obviously it matters a lot less what the climate is doing. You can keep growing year-round. And because of that, it's already a very large $100 billion market, growing very quickly, expected to be about $265 billion by 2030. Now, the challenge is that plants, like human beings, have a microbiome. We human beings, we rely on a community of microbes inside us that's vitally important for our health, and plants have the same thing. So my PhD at Oxford was studying how plants will recruit microbes from the soil around them in order for them to grow properly. The problem is, in hydroponics, plants are grown in a nutrient solution. There is no soil. That's the definition of hydroponics. And so there's a lot of beneficial microbes that plants expect to find around them that are just missing in these systems. And that creates enormous untapped potential in terms of yield, disease resistance, but even the quality and taste of these products. And it's just not being used by these growers. So what we've done at Concert Bio is we've collected the world's largest database of plant microbiome data for hydroponics. We've built ML models from that and from that DNA data and used it to identify beneficial microbes specifically targeted for hydroponic systems to try and put back some of these microbes that are missing. We've been able to collect over 11,000 samples from more than 30 growers around the world. We've used it to identify our first beneficial microbe products. We've been sending it out to growers since the start of this year, and they've been reporting to us about a 9.8% improvement in yield across more than 14 trials. And this is an industry where I've personally been shouted at more than once by growers when I've said, I think we can do a 10% improvement in yield. And more than half of the hydroponic lettuce market in the US has already asked to trial our product. Thank you.
If I understood correctly, we can still hear you. So.
Testing? Aha.
Yes. So, all the
That's
way
a long
back.
throw.
Okay, I'm gonna need some help here.
Raise your hand again.
There we go.
What species does it work with? Is it species specific, your product? Does it only work with lettuce? Does it work across a wide range of
It's
crops?
been most extensively tested on lettuce. It's also worked on beetroot. And we've got a cucumber trial right now that's reporting about an 8% improvement in the number of cucumbers coming off each crop. That's all it's been tested on so far.
So you don't need any species specific fine tuning?
I think it makes sense to get a different microbe for each crop, but there's usually cross-activity, right? It doesn't just work for lettuce, it will work for other crops as well, especially in a system like this.
Thanks.
Great, so maybe we can see even multi-crop systems in the hydroponics soon. That would be wonderful. Well, thank you so much,
Thanks.
Paul. I'm going to take that back and hand it over to Jean for the next picture.
Yes, thanks a lot, Paul. Our next startup is also from Netherlands with a biodegradable and affordable soil moisture sensor. Please welcome Burak Kuroğlu.
Just I'm checking. Yeah, it's working. Great. I'm Bogra from Mesosense. As a Mesosense, we are developing lowest cost biodegradable moisture sensors. But interestingly, what type of the problem are we targeting? It's a high cost water price region. For example, here in Almeria in Spain and in Agadir in Morocco, they are using 1 billion water in a year, and the water price is 15x higher than the Italy. Can you imagine? Why? Because of that, they are using the desalination plant water for irrigation purpose. Therefore, their water cost is around 5,700 euro per hectare per year. But the sensor usage rate is less than 10% because of the technology cost is high. As Mesosense, we are targeting to solve this problem with the lowest costs. We are talking about below 250 euro per hectare. This is the innovation. Our inventor Ryochi is also here. If you are interested, he demonstrate first time in the world to print the silicon on paper. We have highly capable for the printed electronics. Therefore, we can do the chip. This is also our first prototype M0. It's a non-biodegradable version. You can also visit our bot and you can see on that. What's about the sensor? We proved on that to reduce the water usage 40%. It is 10x cheaper sensor. It is biodegradable and helps to get the lowest maintenance cost. This is the unit of economics basically. We are giving the sensor free to install and giving the 6 months free trial periods as we calculated 1 hectares. You can see on that the 40% water saving, it's around 2,300 euro. We are thinking to charge 1 divided by 3, how much the farmer can get the benefits. We need to reach 1.2 million euro almost to the break-even points. And also we need to raise almost 1.2 million euro to reach the break-even points. This is lastly the milestone. Our M0 is ready for to start. We start to sell, I hope so, on the January with the first version. And each year we will reduce the cost and we will get higher biodegradability. This is also a strategy for Mesosense. Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, who has a first question for Boera? Thank you so much, Boera. Here at the front.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. So you mentioned subscription fee, right? So what does your business model look like then?
Yeah, we are thinking on that to charge like a divided by 3, how much the farmer can benefit. For example, in the case, maybe, can I show you?
Yeah.
Yeah, in here, for example, the saving water bill 2,300 euro, what we expect for the farmer per hectare, and we can charge 760 euro divided by 3. This is like a calculation, how much we can, brings the benefits, we can charge divided by 3.
Per hectare, yeah.
Per hectare, yeah.
Thank you so much, Boera, for the update on Mesosense today. We are going to be moving on.
Yeah, thank
so
you.
if you want to get into touch with Boera, please scan the QR code and connect also at the drinks.
Thank you, Boera. Next up, we have a nice biopesticide solution coming from Belgium. Let's welcome Simon Collier, the CTO of Bioxol.
So, hello everyone, I'm Simon from Bioxol, and I'm here today to talk about crop protections. And did you know, for example, that potato crop is one of the major consumers of pesticides? And all of this mostly to fight against one particular disease, late blight, caused by mildew agents. And mildew agents affect crops such as potatoes, but also grapevines, also vegetables like lettuce and tomatoes. And there are few solutions on the market that are available, and even fewer organic solutions to fight against those diseases. And some of them, like copper, are raising concern about their ecological impact. So we at Bioxol, we want to help farmers to fight against those diseases, but not at any cost. We want to empower farmers with efficient and affordable solutions, not only to protect their crops, but also preserving environment and biodiversity. And for 4 decades now, our competitors and academia industry try to replace synthetic pesticides with microbes, but it goes with a lot of questions about efficacy, about storage condition, and also about the impact on biodiversity. So what about skipping the middlemen and farming microbes to deliver products free of microorganisms, but with the active substances that explain the biocontrol activity of those microbes? And this is what we have done today. It took a long time, 10 years of R&D behind us, but we've managed to do it. We patented, and now we are ready to prepare the registration dossier for our 2 first products. And Yes, I lost the fuel, sorry. And we've shown it to be effective in the field on several crops for several years, but on lettuce, for instance, we've decreased the severity of the disease, but also the number of lettuce that were impacted. And we have also shown it proof of concept in potatoes and grapevine in the field. And today we are raising funds in order to complete the registration of our two first products. Sorry.
Thank you so much. Hey, Simon, the time is a little short. So who has a question about Bioxol? I see a question here, all the way at the front to the left. My left, your right.
Hello, I'm Jonas from Chefs Invest. Thanks for the presentation. At what scale do you produce right now?
So at the moment, we have been up to 7,000 liters productions, and it helps us to perform field trials all around Europe. Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, great. So if you want to tap into that scale that is already achieved, scan the QR code, get in touch with Simon and his team at Bioxol. Thank you so much. I'm here for yet another traditional part of this demo day, the alumni update. And this one is a little closer to my heart than any others before, and I'm very sorry to everybody that shared the stage before, but they were my entrance into the startup ecosystem. They were my first professional job, the first place that I ever worked at. That's Revive. So I'm happy to be joined today by Edgar Suarez Garcia, CTO and co-founder from the first moment on stage to give us a little update. But before we do, let's watch a little video just to catch you up on what has been happening and who they actually are. Oh. Nah, there we go.
My name is Corjan van den Berg, and in 2019 I co-founded Revive together with Edgar Suarez Garcia. So the uniqueness about Revive and the technology that we have developed is that we use microbial biomass as a raw material, and we make ingredients out of it. Moreover, these microbes, they tend to be a side stream in the food industry. So basically we are upcycling something that is currently a side stream into something that is very high value. The customers come from a variety of fields, and the type of sectors that you can think of are really meat replacers, but also the bakery sector, but also sauces, for example. Things like mayonnaise, there's a lot of egg white and egg in there. Customers are looking for plant-based alternatives. And so we started out in a greenhouse with the two of us, and then quite quickly we got financial support, so we got a loan. That meant that we could already start hiring some people that could help us out in the lab. And then later on, Koshen came in, and now Koshen is a very important partner for us because they help us with the location where we are now building the factory, as well as helping us with how to deal with customers, the whole commercial side of things.
Oh, well.
My name is Corjan van den Berg, and in 2019 I co-founded Revive together with Edgar Suarez Garcia. So the uniqueness about Revive and the technology that we have developed is that we use microbial biomass as a raw material, and we make ingredients out of it. Moreover, these microbes, they tend to be a side stream in the food industry. So basically we are upcycling something that is currently a side stream into something that is very high value. The customers come from a variety of fields, and the type of sectors that you can think of are really meat replacers, but also the bakery sector, but also sauces, for example. Things like mayonnaise, there's a lot of egg white and egg in there. Customers are looking for plant-based alternatives. And so we started out in a greenhouse with the two of us, and then quite quickly we got financial support, so we got a loan. That meant that we could already start hiring some people that could help us out in the lab. And then later on, Koshen came in, and now Koshen is a very important partner for us because they help us with the location where we are now building the factory, as well as helping us with how to deal with customers, the whole commercial side of things.
Yes, the whole commercial side of things. Well, hi Edgar, thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said, we go way back. I heard Corjan say greenhouse and we were snickering immediately because we still remember the 40 degrees,
in
the
the
10
summertime.
degrees. Yeah, and also the winter times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you talk us a little bit through that time? Because it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
Can you talk us a little bit about the highlights in those 5 years?
Absolutely, and maybe a funny anecdote. So Korean that you saw on the video, he was my PhD professor, so he was my daily supervisor. So he was my boss by then, and now that we joined together as Fumi, it's reverse. I'm now Korean's boss. But it was a very nice experience, moving from finalizing a PhD, trying to be a scientist or academic research, and moving into building a company. So I have absolutely no idea whatsoever. It was here in the ecosystem that I learned a couple of things about it. And of course, with the support of all our investors and now Kosun, now the major milestone, and we're going to speak about a little bit about it, is that we are now have built and are operating our own production facility. So it has been a tremendous journey from an idea at the laboratory into having our own production facilities now.
Yeah, and StartLife was lucky to be part of that, and myself as well. So can you highlight a little, because there's a lot of startups also joining us online that are maybe considering joining this space or have joined this space. So after 5 years, what is still in the back of your mind if you think back, okay, this is an advice that I at one point got from somebody during that program or somebody that I found there, and it still has a lasting impact on me every single day?
Yeah, for me it was to understand that market was important. So again, coming from the university, you believe that if you have the technology and if you prove the technology and the technology is solid, you are done. You have a success story. But here at StartLife, at this ecosystem, when people were trying to tell me, fine, technology is important, but market, look for the market. Do you have a product? Is actually somebody willing to buy the product for you or your service? It doesn't really go very quickly, but just to realize that actually market defines everything was a bit the difficult one, but also the one that I would to the new entrepreneurs, or if you want to start, do pay attention to that. Market is really the most important, in my opinion.
And we saw quite a lot of markets come by in the form of several products. So I am now at least very, very hungry. So what did the market tell you about your product?
Yeah, so first is that we did have a good product.
Hey, that's always a lovely start.
Yeah, and at that time it was relatively easy because we identified egg white. And then egg white for me has been like, yeah, I eat egg or when I make a cake, so it was not so important. But when you dive into the data, the importance of egg white as an ingredient in the food industry, so many products that use egg white, and the need to find alternatives to egg white. So when we realized that, and we looked at the data, then we said, oh, we have something here. We can really become a big and a sustainable business.
Yeah, so big and so sustainable that the factory that Korean was talking about, they will help us build a factory. We're actually already further along.
It's built. We were a couple of months really busy with all the food certifications, troubleshooting, optimization, all these good practices. Now we are really ready to start sending products to customers.
Nice.
So big quantities finally.
So what kind of customers do we need to be thinking? We have heard, we've heard meat replacers, we've heard bakery, we've heard so many things, but you can't do everything at once.
All customers that in their recipes or in the food products they are using egg whites or E-numbers with specific functionality, we are providing now an ingredient that is sustainable, is of course animal-free, that can replace part of that functionality in your food product. So anything.
Can you be a little bit more specific? Because I still remember testing out all kinds of functionalities, and some were better in that system and some worked better there. So what functionalities should people be looking for in your product?
So something that is called heat set gelation. So it's this ability when you heat up an ingredient and you cool it down to become stiff, exactly like when egg whites. So that's one key functionality. Other key functionality is emulsification, and a third functionality is, of course, foaming. But in overall, is structuring. So if an ingredient that has the ability to provide structure and texture to food products, that's where we are active in.
Okay, so structure. And is there currently something in the market where we can already get a sneak peek?
Yes, well, actually coming from the from our launch event, so when we officially opened the factory, there was a Belgian restaurant, and they make meatballs with all different types of ingredients, and actually they were our first commercial customer. So they are using our ingredient to produce vegan meatballs. So that's one example.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not ashamed to say it is called Balls and Glory. So if you ever want to try it out, I still remember going on a hunt at some point to try and get some to the Netherlands. So I looking forward to that being here too. But I see that we go through time way quickly. So I want to look forward. What's next? We have a team, we have a pilot plant, we have a product, we are looking for customers. What's next?
Yeah, so making sure that the factory that we have built produces all the quantities at the right specs, so the right quality, and that customers really buy that product from us.
Right. So any questions that you currently get from customers where you're like, oh, that's going to be the next stage, that's going to be the next step?
From customers, basically where we are getting now a lot of questions related to the food, to the ingredient that we are making. So the price range, the microbial stability, shelf life, all these more technical questions for them, and also how this ingredient needs to be applied in their own food products. So it's mostly really getting into the details on how an ingredient needs to be incorporated. This is the most of the questions we are getting from them.
Okay, so a lot of trials, or how do you fix that kind of problem? Because sometimes the customer is on the other side of the world and you have good ideas, but how do you make sure that they do it in the right way?
Yeah, so it's a lot of back and forth. So we send a sample, for example, and then we provide an initial guide on how to use it. And most of the times maybe it's not so straightforward. So they tried one thing, doesn't work, so they send an email or they call. And then we answer, okay, you have to add it like this, or you have to add it like that, or please add water at the beginning, or add a little bit of oil. So it's a lot of open communication back and forth. And sometimes we even ask them to provide us their recipe, so we can test it in our lab to see if we can solve, troubleshoot, and give them further advice. And sometimes we even work together. So we invite them to our kitchen, or we go there to really try to, let's say, solve the issue and making sure that the ingredient really works.
So a lot of open communication, sharing, trying to think along, but really that teamwork, that connecting, that networking together to get to a good end product. Cool. So what currently, because from where I sit right now, and I'm in a very luxurious position to say this, but I've seen Revive grow tremendously. We already talked next steps, more customers, more. So what is currently the missing ingredient in the mix of Revive? What is the next thing that you would want to add to the company, to maybe the product base, you name it?
So I imagine Fumi was the previous name, so the pioneer name, and now is Revive. But I imagine Revive to be a pioneer in processing microbial biomass. So what I want is to make sure that we have a full platform, universal technology that can take any type of biomass. So imagine like the Friesland Campina milk factories, a lot of milk coming from different farmers. I imagine the same, a lot of different microbes coming from many industries. So we have algae coming from there, we have yeast, we have bacteria, we have fungi. And in our factories, we are able to process this biomass into a multiple range of active ingredients. So not only for food, but expanding into cosmetics, functional feed for pets and for animals, really making sure that we have a pioneering technology for microbial biomass. And better if it is spent biomass. So biomass that wouldn't have any other use or would be considered waste, that we can upcycle it, give an extra value, and convert it into functional ingredients.
So as the CTO, is that something that you are currently already exploring, actively working on?
Absolutely. So every week we are always trying new things, and we have a really long backlog with ideas and crazy applications. That of course is now in the lab, but hopefully very soon we manage to bring it to the next scale, hopefully to validation, and why not to commercial implementation.
So say somebody here in the audience still has a microbe that is currently put to waste. Let's just generalize it a little. Do you have space?
Of course. Just send me an email and we can talk.
Send an email to Edgar if you have yeast, if you have algae, if you have bacteria.
Anything. Very happy to test it.
Yeah, great. And I remember planning this session. I mean, this is not like, we plan this kind of stuff a little bit. And you also asked me one very important thing, and that was to highlight a personal question for the community as a whole. So I think, like, what would you want to ask the entire community here to give you?
So maybe to Berlian that is here and also following Laura's comments. So one thing for me at the very beginning was how much energy I had, and I still have, but at that moment how much energy and how many things I really wanted to do, but how difficult it was to get financing. Because at the beginning you only have an idea, you don't have any proof. And of course, investors, if they want to give you money, they want some security, they want to know you have something. But what about all these really good ideas and all this energy and really enthusiastic people that have only that, an idea? So wouldn't it be interesting if we have some sort of pot of money where everybody contributes and you use that money to provide security to those people who have very good ideas but no money? Because at the beginning, of course, you need to feed, you need to eat, you need to have a security, you need to have a salary. But you have this great idea you want to try, this high risk. So it would be very great if we could have a pot of money to support at the very, very early stage, high risk ideas in the community.
And that brings us, I think, very close to that social aspect that we talked about, or that was talked about in the early session as well, trying to support startups and also entrepreneurs that have good ideas but are maybe less lucky.
Yeah. But free money, yeah?
You
put this, and it's
Yeah,
because this money you use it to survive, right? It's your
Yeah.
salary, and maybe to pay some tests here and there.
So not like my student loans that I set aside,
And then you have to
and
pay
then I
yourself.
still bought a lot of pizza out of.
So
No.
very, very early stage, very high risk, but that can become later.
Investing in the future. Well, thank you so much,
Thanks,
Edgar, for
Marjorie.
joining me.
My pleasure.
Lovely.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. I mean, we never get done talking, so it's good that there is a timer for me as well. So we are up for our last batch of startups.
Yes, thanks. Thank you, Yorin, for moderating this session. And where is Edgar? Edgar, thanks so much for saying that the market is important. That's what I keep repeating all the time during the program. Yeah, we still have 4 startups to go, so let's get started with round 3. This time we have a startup from South Africa with a dairy alternative solution. Let's welcome Thomas Bartelman, CEO of Aspire Foods.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to start things a little different today with a little audience questionnaire. If you've ever tried vegan cheese and truly loved it, please raise your hand. All right, that kind of answers my question, and this indicates the problem that we're solving at Aspire Foods. We had about 3 hands for those online out of an audience of a few.
150?
150.
Yeah.
So at Aspire Foods, we are solving that problem. We humans love cheese, but cheese has a massive climate impact. It is responsible for large amounts of greenhouse gas emissions, water use, land use, biodiversity loss, and deforestation. As we just saw, vegan cheese is an alternative, but it is not meeting consumer expectations. The missing ingredient is casein. It is the key and critical ingredient that is responsible for the stretchability, meltability, and texture of the cheese that we love. At Aspire Foods, we produce casein proteins in duckweed. The process that we follow is called molecular farming. It's relatively simple. We synthesize the casein gene, we insert it into duckweed, we grow it at large scales, we extract, purify, and sell the casein proteins to produce the cheese that we all love. Duckweed is a biofactory superorganism. It produces 10 times the amount of protein compared to soybean on a per hectare per year basis. It can be grown in contained environments, which means that you can bypass regulatory risks, and it doubles in biomass every 2 to 3 days, which means we can continuously produce and continuously extract. So far, we have produced the casein proteins. In the last year, we've produced the casein proteins in duckweed, and we have validated the need for this ingredient with multiple potential customers, including cheese producers, infant formula producers, and food ingredient companies. Now we're busy raising our next fund. We're raising $3 million to scale to pilot production facility and de-risk the unit economics and scaling in the process. If you're an investor interested in joining us on our mission, please come and speak to me afterwards.
Thank you so much, Thomas. I was almost going to call you the entirety of Aspire. Thank you so much, Thomas, for sharing Aspire with us. So, who loves cheese in the audience? Because I certainly do. Oh, still a little hesitant, but there's immediately a question about it. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I wonder if you know Jaap Kortweg from the Vegetarian Butcher?
Yes, I do.
Yes. So I know he also does more or less the same thing, but he uses grass because grass is very cheap to grow and very widely available. Why do you use a complex product as duckweed, as I know it's very hard to grow and still in development stage? Why do you use duckweed instead of grass?
So duckweed has multiple possible advantages. One is very high native protein content. It doubles in biomass very quickly. It can be grown in basically arid environments, which allows us to produce more readily globally. And on top of that, it is a weed. It might seem challenging to grow, but it grows very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thomas, that was it.
Thank
If
you
you
very
want to connect with Thomas, scan the QR code. I saw some phones being raised, so who knows what is next. And also join us for the drinks, because I saw a little cheese tasting somewhere going around.
Thanks.
So, what's up next?
Yes, our next startup is also from the Netherlands, and they have an interesting solution to fight fusarium. Let's welcome Diderik from Bionomic.
Hello everyone, my name is Diederik and I am one of the co-founders of Bionomic. And within Bionomic, we are specialized in the development of molecular solutions for the agricultural sector, helping to create more sustainable ways to manage crop diseases. And that's why I want to address two of the most pressing challenges in agriculture today that go hand in hand. At one side, we have the overusage of pesticides, which come at a very heavy cost. They can reduce biodiversity by up to 50%, yet we do need them to manage these harmful and devastating plant pathogens. For instance, if we take Fusarium, which is this very mean, aggressive fungus, this fungus alone is responsible for over 10 billion in losses worldwide. And this is where we step in. We developed a sustainable way to challenge the Fusarium fungus. And as we can see over there, we are able to effectively kill off this fungus, giving farmers an effective way to manage the Fusarium problem. But why should you choose for Bionomic? Well, as we heard before, if we take out the middleman, we can effectively kill this fungus in a direct way. Whereas if we consider the chemicals, we don't have the disruptive effect on the biodiversity, giving the farmers a sustainable but also innovative way to manage the Fusarium problems in a variety of crops, ranging from flower bulbs onto soybeans. That said, we are actively validating this solution in other markets, such as Brazil and also the United States. So if you're an expert on these markets or know people there that have these problems with the Fusarium fungus itself, we would like to connect with you. Thank you very much.
Okay, Fusarium, interesting. Yeah. So who kicks us off with a question from the audience? So what is, actually, you mentioned a couple initial ideas, right? Like the first type of application. What will be your first application, you think, right now? Not going to hold you to it.
At the moment, we are working on fusarium within tulips, very Dutch. It's a very big problem over there. And we have the first field trials being performed in this sector.
Oh, wow. So we do actually have time for one more question. Right there.
So fusarium is quite a big genus. Does your application work for all fusarium species?
Yeah, as we can see in the laboratory, until now it is applicable on multiple species of fusarium. So that's why we can also target other crops. But we're still exploring the specifics of that. But it was promising.
Quick second question. Is it preventative as well as curative?
Sorry?
Is it preventative as well as curative?
We hope so. That's still up to discussion. Thank you very much.
That will probably become clearer in those field trials
Exactly,
later on.
exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Diederik, for sharing it. And let's hope for a better future for our tulip bulbs and beyond. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah. Our next startup, EcoCrystal, has a great solution to solve one of the biggest problems in the food industry, which is making our food look white. And they're solving this problem with white pigments. Please welcome on stage Nissim Shen from EcoCrystal, CEO.
Thank you, Jan. Good afternoon, everyone. Take a look on the nice white powder on the screen. Can you imagine what it could be? I don't want to guess what you are guessing. This is titanium dioxide. It is the most powerful whitener used by the food, cosmetic, and pharmaceutical industries for decades now. It is a great product, but due to safety concerns, it's already phasing out, and it is banned in the EU and under crossfire in the USA. In fact, the use by the industry of this material is already declining sharply, creating a great global need for safe and effective replacement for titanium dioxide. Now take a look of those 2 cups of coffee ahead of you. To the left one, we added a major competition product already in the market. To the right one, to the right cup, this is our product in third the amount. So should I ask which one is whiter? I think it's clear. We are not only giving a whiter effect, it could be also a bright and a pearly appearance. We are talking about natural-based solution that would generate, that would stand up and stable in extreme conditions required by the industry. Its production is water-based and green and scalable. We are talking about products that would address a $10 billion market and would be manufactured with toll manufacturers. We are currently optimizing and scaling up the system from tens of gram amounts into kilograms amount required for regulatory filing, and there is already a great interest by industry leaders, and we're actually in advanced discussions with some of them. To wrap it up, we are speaking about an excellent whitener that can replace titanium dioxide. It could also give a white, glossy and pearly effect. It is superior over competition. We are now looking for additional funds and we'll be happy to connect with potential investors and strategic partners. And with that note, I would add and wait for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nissim. Who has a question for Nissim?
Hi. How much does it change the taste?
It's not.
Thank you.
That was an extremely short answer, so we have time for yet another question. There, all the way at the back.
Hi, can you tell us a bit more about the impact of EcoCrystal?
Yeah, we are talking about natural molecules. It's basically guanine crystals. It is made synthetically, but in terms of carbon footprint, it is much less than any, definitely from titanium dioxide, but potentially from other alternatives as well. Most of them are minerals and other potentially problematic materials.
Okay, Well, that is a bright future ahead. I couldn't not make that joke. I'm
Thank
very
you very
sorry.
much.
Thank you so much, Nissim, for joining us. And let's head over to the next one.
Yes, and the last one, actually.
And the last one already.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I mentioned it during my introduction. Our last startup has a new way to grow wood. So please welcome Tom Clement from New Dawn Bio.
Thank you so much, Sean. Don't worry, everyone, drinks are right after this. So how do you become the world's largest supplier of wood without touching a single tree? My name is Tom. I'm the founder and CEO of New Dawn Bio. And I'm going to tell you about the area the size of Denmark that the world loses each year, worth of the most important forests that we have. That's not just a problem for the planet and for the climate, it's a problem for the $800 billion wood products industry. There are entire industries now that cannot buy the premium wood they need to build their products anymore. So what if you could get any premium wood you wanted in days instead of waiting decades for trees to grow, directly in the shape of your product, skipping all of the labor that you have in there, and engineered precisely to look and act like you want. At New Dawn, we grow wood from cells, not trees. We take stem cells from trees, we grow them exponentially quickly in days, and directly in the shape of your product, we turn them into wood. I'm going to share a secret with you, don't tell anyone. Wood, as a commodity, is very special. Premium wood sells for more than any other cultured product. And so that's why during our time at StartLife, we identified and validated the first 2 customer segments that are itching to use our wood and pay up to €100 per kilogram for it. We're funded, we're validated, we're ready to grow. We're hiring a best-in-class CTO right now to accelerate our time to market. And at this point in the pitch, usually you ask for funding or customers or something like this, right? We're doing a contest instead. If you refer to us, our future CTO, you get a chance to have your name on the world's first cultured wooden product and to do your part in growing the world's biggest forest from a single cell. Thanks a lot.
So just to make sure, people just have to email that name to join@newdawnbio.com.
Correct.
Awesome.
Or speak to us after the pitch.
Even better, even better. But then there is not a written record, so at your own risk. Who has the first question? I see one all the way there.
Very cool. You can grow it into the shape of a chair, but will it have grain? Will it have all those? Because there's many cell types in wood.
Absolutely, that's very important, right? So not only the structural properties need to be the same as the wood you cut from a tree, but also the visuals are quite important in furniture and this kind of thing. It's not the first type of product that we're targeting, but definitely one that we will and want to, yeah.
So one day I might have a table grown from cell-based wood.
Quite soon, actually. I don't want to mention the date here, but we have this specific grain very near into the future on the roadmap. Yeah.
Well, I'll catch you at the drinks in a bit because I just bought a house and I want new furniture. Thank you so much, Tom, for sharing New Dawn Bio with us, and join@newdawnbio.com, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. Well, let's get that new CTO in as well. Thank you so much. I mean, that was all of the pitches. So what else is there to have? Well, networking. So we will move soon to the other side for drinks, but not yet, because first I need to do this spiel one more time. So please scan the QR code on the screen. Send those emails to the connection or to the contact information listed there. Look through those pitch decks one more time and forward them to people you think could make that impact happen for them, or maybe be the new CTO in one of these companies. that is how we make the impact that we started off with. That is how we bring the community together, and that is our biggest strength, is all of you here in person and online. So thank you once again for being here from me. Jean, you
Yes,
also had
Joris.
some final words.
Yes. Apologies for the small technical problem. I just want to say the full video is behind the QR code online. So the full video with Revive, because we are a bit frustrated we couldn't see the end, but you can find it there. But yeah, that was the 14th startup we wanted to introduce to you today. Congratulations to the founders for the great job the past 6 months. I know you worked really hard. Thanks to the whole StartLife team. Can you raise your hand, the StartLife team, please? Thanks a lot for the hard work. Thanks to you, Natasha, our event manager. You helped us a lot. And thanks to you, Jorin. And what else do I need to say? Please, we're going to take a family picture, so the founders, the StartLife team, please come on stage. Goodbye to the online audience, and for the rest of you, go for the drinks on the other side. And reach out to the founders if you want to talk to them. Thank you. Do you have another slide? Or?
Yeah.